Have you ever felt that juggling vendor communications is an event in and of itself? Well, today's video is all about how Dubsado can help you communicate better with your vendors, especially when it comes to scheduling planning meetings that you have with them on events that you're working together on. I'm gonna break it down into two different methods and you can figure out the one that works best for you in the way that you want to run your business. Let's dive in. I'm Lauren with The Smarter Creative. Consider me your fairy biz mother, helping creative entrepreneurs work smarter in their businesses instead of harder. I'm so glad you are here with me today. Today's question is actually from a past client of mine, Jill. She does event decor and she plans events and she's amazing at what she does and has been using Dubsado to manage her client experience for all the events that she's working on with them, and is now finding the need to manage her vendor experience just a little bit better. She actually handles all the vendor communications on behalf of her clients. So this question here, I'm gonna read it. I was wondering if the scheduler in Dubsado could be used to schedule vendor phone calls also, or if it's only for clients. It would be amazing to be able to send a potential vendor connected with a project a scheduling invite to discuss details of their portion of the event. Love this question. Thank you, Jill, for asking it. So to the second question, is it only for clients? No, absolutely not. You can use Dubsado for whatever you need to. So to that point, I know we're talking about vendors and using that language, but you can also consider this if you have consultants that you work with, or affiliates you want to track, or just any type of other person, business that you work with that's not technically a client of yours. But just like Dubsado can handle all of your client communications, schedulers, and such, it can also do that for your vendors, your contractors, your consultants, your, I don't know, there's more words, but I don't have them right now. But Dubsado can help you stay organized with them. So I'm gonna go into two different methods. The first one is using Dubsado to manage these contacts and communications with these contacts without using projects. And then the other method is doing the same thing, but with using projects. And even that, I'm gonna break it down into two different ways. But those are our two big ones. So let's dive in with the first method of using Dubsado to handle organizing your vendor contacts and setting up calls with them, but not creating projects. So you are able to manage your contacts, clients, non-clients, whomever, inside of your address book. So if you go down to utilities, address book, here, you can add, it says client, but truly it is anybody you want to keep track of, and you can add their information here. And as soon as you do that, it will create them here in your address book. And if you click on their profile, you are able to send emails directly from their profile. You can see any forms that have been sent, and you can also add forms. It's just not connected to a project here. So let's say we can add it and then we can send it to them, and it's going to pop up a email to send to them. So you can do all of that without ever creating a project for them. Now I do have lots of test projects for this particular person, so you can see them all here. But you can also keep notes and a call log, and it's all tied to them as a client. Now you'll notice in part 2 of this video, when we do projects, you can also see your client, your vendor, their information, and all projects worked with them from their profile in the address book. You can also get to it here if you type in the name. If you already have it created, you can click on it under clients and you get to the same profile there. So the biggest one to see here is you don't have a scheduler option like you do inside of a project. Yes, we have forms, emails, notes, etc., but there is no scheduler. So let's say you really have to have a call with this person in order to discuss an event. That's not an option here. However, if you go to scheduler and we can grab the link to the scheduler here. Now that link you can share with the person, and let's just actually create a different one. Let's say vendor call with brand name, and it's going to be those times. It's going to be I'll call you. We'll save it. And then, I don't know if these smart fields actually come through. I'm gonna take that off and change it to company. Okay, and then here, this is where you can prevent booking less than X number of hours in advance. So if we say 24 hours, we don't need any buffers. Every 30 minutes is fine. And then your custom confirmation email, any notification emails, monthly view, etc. Set that all up. Now, in this case, the additional form, we do not want one attached to them. So when you go to send this link to them, they will be encouraged to fill out their information. I'll show you what that looks like. But you're not actually going to attach a form. So here, new canned response, send vendor a link to booking a call. Let's chat. Hey, first name. I use hotkeys on my keyboard settings that when I type in a certain phrase, it replaces it with things. So I have text replacement on my Mac for key Dubsado smart fields. You do not have to do that. You can just find your smart fields here, client, first name, and it'll pull it up there as well. Just FYI if you're wondering how I did that, because sometimes I move kind of quick. I love to chat with you about the upcoming event. Use my link below to find a time that works for you. Chat soon in your email signature. Okay, so I want to go schedule a call, and I'm going to make this center, this line. I'm gonna make it centered because all of the buttons that Dubsado uses always end up centered. There's not a setting that you can change. And then highlight it and hit button. And then I'm gonna paste that scheduler link that I just grabbed from the templates and insert it here. So now it's an actual button, save and close. And now if I go to my address book, client, emails, send a message. And here I'm gonna search for vendor, there. And now I can send this off. Then I just refreshed my page and I can go back to emails and see it right here, and I can actually see it open. So now if I hit schedule a call, I can pick whatever time and date. And this is the form that will auto-populate if you do not have a form attached. So we're gonna go sample client. Just great, submit and finish. They get the same confirmation page here that the normal scheduler would get if it was attached to a project. They can add it to their calendar, you know, pick which one that they want to do. And then you can also see the confirmation emails that they get in their profile. Here, your appointment has been confirmed. What doesn't happen though is, well, here. So you can see it on your calendar. The call is here. But when you click on it, there's no information about it in the event. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so this Monday event is through the way that we just showed you, and then Tuesday's event is with actually through a project. So when I look at the Tuesday event, I have all this information here. Everything related to their project is where this information is pulling from. With the other one, there is no information here. So you would have to look at their information in Dubsado to grab their phone number. Now this is great if you're working with a handful of vendors, people who you know exactly who they are and when to call. You just need them to pop up on your calendar when it's time to have a chat. Then this is perfect. You don't have to have a project set up for them. They just need to be able to be on your calendar. They get the reminders for it. You can see it on your calendar, all that good stuff. You still get notified when people book you this way. And in your app, it's similar to the booking. Like when you click on the calendar in the app, all that information is not there like it is when you have it tagged to a project. But you can go into your client list, even though it's an everybody contact list is really what it should be called, is a contact list. In your client list, you're able to pull up their information on the app. The app is great. If you're not using the app yet, you should definitely do it to keep all that information on hand. But that is what it looks like for your vendor to just be able to work with you one-on-one. That same little scheduler link we grabbed here with no form attached to it, you can also keep that on hand and just text it to them. You can email it to them outside of Dubsado. Anytime you want to book a vendor call with them, you can just send it over to them and they can have it. Or if they need to book a call with you, you know that you can share that with them and they can book their time. And then if they aren't already in your address book, it will add them to the address book. So here, if we do it that way, let's do that. There it goes. And now if I come over to my address book, I have that other person in my address book as well. And again, I can't see any upcoming appointments with them, but I can see the fact that they got that confirmation email from me. So this is a great way to stay organized with your contacts without setting up projects for everybody. But let's now talk about what that looks like. When you use project tracking for your vendors, there's two ways we can look at it. The first one is creating a single project for your vendor and keeping all information between you and them in that one project. Or you can create multiple projects for the same vendor. So the first thing I would want to do is create a new project status. We're going to customize from our projects tab. We're going to customize this page. I'm going to add a status. I'm going to say vendors, and I'm going to stick them in as a job. And then I'm just going to leave them all the way at the end here because I really don't want them being mixed up with all of my clients. So now I have this vendor list, and if you don't see it, there's a little arrow at the edge that you can expand that on. We're going to pull up our vendors. So now I can do a new project, and I can say, I don't know, we'll go Sally's Florals. And then I'm going to grab my client name. You can also create a new client if they haven't been into your Dubsado yet. And then we're going to make sure that project status is that new vendor's project status. And then we're going to create the project. And so now here we have additional tabs, more so than just in the utilities. We'll obviously see their emails, their forms. Now we also have the option to have appointments, and you can actually use tasks associated with the project as well, but your notes are also there. And for invoices, you wouldn't use it for vendors since you're not the one billing them to pay you, they're billing you to pay them. So this invoices tab you would have to ignore with these vendors. But for appointments here, you can do schedule appointment, use your template, and then you can grab that vendor call with company and add it. And now when they book, if they already have a project open, they can pick a time. And as soon as they pick a time, it automatically confirms for them. It does not ask for their name, email, and phone number like it does when they are not attached to a project, because that project already has that information for them. And then that pulls in their information on the calendar. So that alone, if you like to open up your calendar and see their information, that might be the reason why you want to use the project in order to keep your communications together. You can also send here, and then you would want to create a new canned email that doesn't have that link that we used in the first part of our video, because this is actually a smart field. It's actually your scheduler link is what the Dubsado is using to send that scheduler to your vendor. So then this would be under emails. Obviously they get the confirmation email, but you can also send additional emails for it, but they're just all going to be in one place for Sally's Florals. So you can look back at all your communications with them. So the point where the shift then for having projects is maybe you want to create projects for different events. So let's go ahead and add a new project. Let's say this is Steve and Anna's wedding with Sally's Florals. Making up names. So I'm going to grab that contact person, I'm going to put her in vendors, and now I actually have a date. I can actually plug in the date of the wedding so it can be there, like on the project. This is available or busy, marks it on your calendar if people can schedule on top of that date. And here it's the same thing. You can have all your emails, forms, appointments, and so on, but you know this is specific to this event. And if you come back to all vendors, you have the project date, you have your vendor list here. I know it says client, but you know, contact. You have your vendor here listed, and then you would have the different events listed with the different project dates. So you can manage it this way. If you do it this way, you have the option to manually create the project just like we did right there with the new project. You could go a step further to automate it, and under your scheduler, it could be create a new one. Well, here, let me create the form first. I'm gonna call it a new vendor form. And it would have their contact information. I'm gonna use my containers to organize this a little bit better. If you attach this to the scheduler, I like to use emojis for differentiating these types. But here, if we do additional form, type in vendor, save. Now this form, because it has a lead capture attached to it, it will create a new project, and it will title it based in the settings of the form, this project title here. So for this, I would want to do probably the company name. So maybe we add that. Company name required, and then I'm going to link it to company name. Save and close. So now when I open up that scheduler that I just grabbed with that little emoji now to it, when they pick their time, submit and next, here we have the actual form for them to put together. And if they don't know the event, they don't have to, oh, I put it as required, so never mind. Submit. It is booking, perfect. And now if I go to, it's in as a lead here, it pulled in my company name, but it booked it and it started a new project. So in this case, you would want to have a workflow set up to make sure it moves it into the vendors category automatically, so you don't have to manually move it to vendors. But yeah, anyways, it would just get them into the system without you manually having to create it. But it depends on how many events that you have at a time, that you might be fine just adding the vendors in each of the events if you like to track it from the specific event dates. So then we would want to rename this with Steph and Chad's wedding. I know I'm using weddings because it's easy, but it does not have to be that. But obviously all of those renaming of the projects is a manual process, but it will be able to keep it organized for you and be able to see it as you work with your different vendors. So I really hope one of those ways helped you figure out if there is a way that you want to work in your Dubsado to handle non-client communications and just give an idea of what's possible. I really do encourage you to play around with it, figure out what works for you and the way that your brain works, the way you want to see your Dubsado laid out. It depends on how big your projects are, all that kinds of stuff. I really hope this video is just going to help you put a plan in place as you work with non-clients in an organized way. It's questions like these that get asked inside of the Smarter Creative Society, my membership that I currently have open. It is currently less than $50 a month, and you can ask all of these random questions and we get to strategize about them. I can ask clarifying questions to you, and you get these tutorials right there in the community so that you don't have to Google your random tech questions that sometimes you're not even sure what you're asking Google and you can't figure out the answer of what you're looking for. So it is just my absolute pleasure to be able to come alongside creative entrepreneurs to make the running of their business go smoother through tech questions, operations questions, and just the running of your business type questions. We do monthly Q&A office hours and quarterly workshops to help you in your small business. And if the society is something that you would like to join, come be with me there. I would love to have you. There's a link all about it below for you to check out. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel. I share all kinds of Dubsado tips and tricks and some other platforms and general productivity for you in your small business. So be sure to subscribe below. And if this video in particular helped you, give it a thumbs up. Let me know you liked it. You can ask your questions here as well. And if I can, I'll reply back with a YouTube video for you. And I will see you guys next time.